Hello guys, welcome to tonight's class with natural movement mobility, and kind of inspired because it has my own flavor of movement, and the intention for tonight is to really get into our spine, to get into our shoulders, to get into our hips, and we're going to allow ourselves to take as much time as we need to breathe and to create this spectrum of relaxation and tension. And actually, as you tense certain areas in your body with context of moving, like the different positions of your pelvis, for example, you're actually like stretching with that tension that you create inside your body. You're actively pulling the tissues and opening them up and creating more synovial fluid to come to the joints. So as we allow ourselves to breathe and really feel into our bodies with the hips, shoulders, and spine and these movements, and just whatever else you feel may be like starting to open up, or have a certain tightness that you want to go into. As we're doing this, we're going to find that taking our time is going to really help open it up and just feel better afterwards. So we're going to start actually laying on our back. We're just going to take a few deep breaths here. We're going to try to get our lower back to be against the ground by just squeezing our abs lightly a little bit and our glutes so that our lower back can come flush to the ground. And just relax here, take a few breaths. You don't have to breathe audibly, I'm just doing that to demonstrate if you're listening. And now on our final breath, we're going to bring our hands up, our knees up towards our belly, and we're going to throw our hands and throw our feet, rock forward to a tall seated position with our legs extended, and we can support a nice tall posture by putting our hands right down to the sides of our body and lifting up our chest, tucking our chin, feeling into our pelvis and bringing our pelvis forwards. So slightly squeezing the glutes and the abs. And just breathe here for a moment. Try to just elongate your spine here, and at the same time elongate the legs. If this is hard for you, then you can spread the legs a little bit. That might alleviate a little bit of tension. And if you're really inflexible, you can always just do this. You can try a butterfly. A lot of people might be up here, but that's okay. Just try to get as tall a spine as you can here while breathing and feeling into the hips or wherever there may be tension. The more we can relax and breathe, the more you'll just see that tension slowly starts to fade away. Because we often want to perpetuate a pattern of holding tension in our bodies by not breathing. So by exploring the movement in these range of positions, we can really get into where we have those patterns and release that tension and have a lot more energy because we release it. So from here, we're going to rock back a few more times. Inhale and then exhale as you come up. And try to feel your spine come along in this nice little curve, and just very gently rocking right up to your mid-back, just barely touching your head on the ground. And from here, we're going to come and raise our legs, raise our hands, and then shoot the legs down, put the arms overhead, and try to just let your arms naturally fall flush to the floor. So as much meat of your arms as possible on the floor. You might find that your arms naturally come down a little bit, but see if you can raise them a little bit and then just relax and see where you can open up in the shoulders. A few deep breaths, keeping that low back flush to the ground. And not really tensing at our shoulders, relaxing them, letting them come down at the elbows a little bit, but finding where it is that they get flush to the ground, but also maximally extended and relaxed. So take a few deep breaths here, and if you want a little extra opener for the hips, you can draw up the feet together, facing each other, the soles of the feet, and then opening up here in the hips. And if that's too intense to do at the same time, we can focus on the hips, bring our arms down. And this is a great position to just relax in. You can put weights onto your legs or put blocks underneath and just breathe and relax and try to keep that low back flush to the ground. Try to keep your neck relatively tucked, not extended or any funky position. You want to almost feel like over time trying to get your neck even touching the ground. I don't have that head mobility, but some people get to that level, and it's really nice to have that mobility because you can relax with a lot more support in your body. So we're going to rock up one more time, and we're going to come around. It's my favorite part. We're going to come around to knee-hand position right here. We call it tabletop yoga. And so we're going to first start with spreading those fingers super wide and grabbing the ground. And we're going to make sure that our elbow pit is facing forward, so we don't want it to face inwards. We want to actively engage at the tricep, and that'll help to face those pits forward. And we're going to focus on first our head. So we're supporting with our hands, pressing down through our shoulders into the ground. And we're just going to do some yeses and nos. Coming up. And you can take your time with these motions. After you finish these movements with me, I want you to go back and revisit whatever movements that really just started to open up something in your body and allowed you to breathe deeper, to relax a little bit more. Then we can come and do some nice little circles, and using our eyes too, really extending our eyes. This is a great way to work on our peripheral vision. We can work on just looking to the very edges of our vision, and where our eyes go, our spine will follow when we do movement. And we're going to start to relax the shoulders, shake it out a little bit, I don't know how much you can shake it, but it's good to learn because it feels really good after you store a lot of tension from stressing out however we do during our days. So we're going to now we're going to just relax the shoulders kind of in a neutral position, so they're not really pressing down and they're not pulling back right now, they're just kind of neutral. So we're almost coming back a little bit too if we need more support from our lower body. But we're going to focus on kind of bending the torso to the side like this. And so we're going to do that also with our shoulders. We're going to bring our left shoulder down while our right shoulder goes up, and then right shoulder goes down and the left comes up. And take some deep breaths. You can hold that position, and you can also just like follow your own breath and get into those sensations as you kind of stretch out that side body a little bit and the shoulder socket, shoulder girdle, all of this just juice stored up in this amazingly complex joint or series of joints. And now we can kind of press forwards with our shoulders, protracting the scapula and then retracting. We can get a rhythm of like inhale, retract, and exhale, protract. And then we can also establish a rhythm of just holding, protracting, maybe just coming back to neutral, or maybe doing a little bit more with one arm at a time or something. And then the next thing we'll do is we're going to clench our fist and we're going to pull it into our body, almost like we have an imaginary weight and we're just pulling and pulling. And what we're going to do is we're going to start to open up our chest towards the ceiling. And then we're going to close our chest, bring it towards the wall that's to the right. So my left arm is clenched, I'm turning towards the right, still pressing with this other arm. Inhaling, and you're kind of opening up your rotational spine, your T-spine, as you're doing this. And then you're closing it, and really try to reach that shoulder forward, almost like you're throwing your shoulder through the other arm right here. And you can even reach out, extend that hand, pull back in, reach out, and just play around with that tension and relaxation and your breath. And then you have 3 components of awareness just to control and to focus on, as well as all the sensations that are going on. And now we're going to do the other side. So clench that right fist, pulling in to our body, opening up the chest towards the ceiling, closing it, bringing that right chest towards the left wall, the wall to the left of you. And then open up, close it, deep breaths. Now reach. Do it super lightly, as if there's no tension in your body. And then add a little bit of tension, a little bit of strength in your body. You don't need a whole lot of external weight to elicit a response in your body. You can really do it through your own breath and tension. So now that we got into the shoulders, into the neck, we're going to get into the hips. And the hips is fun because there's just a ton of stuff stored up there because we are sitting all the time for driving, for whatever. And so we're going to kind of like go in a circle. So we're adding in the whole hip, shoulder, spine complex and just kind of rotating around, kind of coming back, almost sitting onto the heels, coming forward. And then going the other way. This will be one of the last things that we'll do, and then you can revisit whatever really resonated with you, or you can explore deeper into whatever own flavors of the movements you want. And so now we're going to stop that motion and really focus into just closing our eyes and feeling into our hips. So really feeling what's going on there. I want you to first start with an inhale, and as you inhale, the natural kind of tendency is our hips are going to go back, our pelvis kind of flexes backwards, so it extends, kind of like we're just sticking out our butt. And then as we exhale, it kind of naturally comes forward. And you can notice this if you're sitting down and you just really focus in on that area as you're breathing deeply. It's just going to naturally do that. So now we're going to just exaggerate that. And we're starting really gently with the kind of tension that we're doing. So it's like maybe 10% of like an effort of like, I'm like pushing my hips forward. And then I'm pulling them back as I'm inhaling, and I'm pushing them forward as I'm exhaling. And not quite the full range of motion. We're just trying to feel into there. We're trying to resensitizing these areas in our body that we can turn off because we store so much tension that it hurts. And then we wonder why we get injured if we start to do certain programs or training or whatever. It's because we're not listening to our bodies and feeling into them and actively, resting when our body calls us to rest, or releasing tension through restorative movements. So when you find a balance of doing that, you can really get into a good groove for yourself and for just enjoying the feeling of like, oh, my body feels good today. So we're inhaling, extending our butt back, and then exhaling, kind of tucking it forward, hiding our butt. Inhale, extend it back, and then exhale, bring it forwards. And you can start to kind of wiggle the hips left and right. And it's like there's a lot of different subtle movements that you can get into. So I'm going to kind of leave it there so that you can explore on your own time. And you don't even need to have the hands there. You can really like get into it from a kneeling position. You can get into it from a lunge position. Really just explore, because that area is filled with tons of energy, and you can release energy so that you feel more vital. So I hope you guys have a beautiful night. Thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. And we're definitely going to do more of this, and I'll repost this. I'm just like looking back at the stuff. And thank you. Love, vision, and strength. I'll definitely post more. And have a great night. Peace.